Welcome everybody to Steve and Friends. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. Not got one, but got two superstars around me today. We're going to be talking to Jen Maroney, who is based on the Gold Coast, and Nick Winlaw, based in Brisbane. And the reason why we're talking to them is because the subject today is all things Hillsong CityCare. The beautiful thing about our church, we've probably known Hillsong Church for what we do in church services and the music and the preaching. However, you need to know the reality, and that is that we build a church not through big crowds, but through caring for the one and the individual. And way beyond whatever we do within the four walls of our church campuses, our work in the community and among people that aren't even part of our church is so important to who we are, to the church that Brian and Bobby Houston have set up, and that it's our pleasure to currently be part of the leadership of. So the work in the community is fantastic. Two great people to talk to. So you're going to enjoy these next few minutes together. So Jen, how are you doing? You're looking glorious there on the Gold Coast.
Thank you, Steve. I'm very excited to be with you and grateful to have the opportunity to share a little bit of heart with everybody.
Well, that's cool. Nick, you're looking good. You got your hair in place this time. nicely made. I just wish I could do that. I have to say I'm extremely jealous. But you have great locks, my friend. So great to see you as well, Nick. So maybe first, just to let people get to know you rather than what it is that you do. So Jen, just in a few words, tell us where you're from, your family, how long you've been on the Gold Coast, that sort of thing.
Sure. Originally born and raised in Sydney till late teens, and family made a move to the beautiful Tweed Heads area, which is where I still reside. Two wonderful sons who are doing great in life, and very blessed for them in this season. They've not just kept their jobs, but they've been able to excel in their jobs. So that certainly makes my mother's heart proud and delighted.
That's awesome. Now, Jen, so you live in Tweed Heads. For those people that aren't conversant with the geography around these parts, Tweed Heads is right across the border. It's in New South Wales, on the border with Coolangatta, which is Queensland. And right now, people are being blocked because of the COVID season. How on earth have you been getting around? Have you been able to get in and out of Queensland easily, or what's the story?
Yeah, so Nick's laughing because he's hearing my updates on a weekly basis at this point. Steve, it's been extraordinary. And just to say, for me, where I live, it's generally a 30-second walk to actually get across the border. It's nothing for me to take 45 minutes to get across the border of the morning. Wow. And, it's pretty crazy right now. But I just have to say, I'm but one person that's walking through this or driving through this in this season, and I feel to just comply with what we're being instructed to do is our way of contributing to, keeping our country, our state and our country healthy.
Very good. Yeah. Well, you're looking healthy and you're looking happy, so that's good. Now then, Mr. Winlaw, give us a little bit of your background, because you have an international background, not just a New South Wales across the border background.
Yeah, it's true. So I was born in Alice Springs, Northern Territory, in the outback. Spent the early years of my life growing up in a kangaroo's pouch. And no, that didn't happen. I was about 5-6 years old for grade 1 and have been in Brisbane ever since. Lived in London, lived in Sydney to do various studies, and have been a part of our church for a part of this same church now for 17 years. And so it's definitely the place that I love and the place that I call home. Yeah.
And your family's from an Asian background. What is that?
Yeah, that's right. I'm called the Asian Trinity in our neck of the woods. Half Chinese, quarter Indonesian. And so my entire dad's side of the family are in Burma, and my mum's side are in Jakarta right now, in Myanmar and Indonesia. And and I'm married to an PNG Australian-Danish collaboration. And so people, but one person with all three.
Yes.
So we're very much the United Nations
You
together.
are. That's fantastic. So let's just go to why you are both involved in what you are involved with, because you've both got a track record of serving people I know Nick, for instance, has been working in the church as a youth leader, youth pastor for a number of years. You, Jen, prior to us knowing you, you were already working in this space of working in the equivalent of CityCare, working in the community. What's your track record, Jen, and why did you get involved?
You know what, Steve? I just found that I've always been someone that if I see a need, I want to be part of making a difference. And I just found as my life within church evolved that wherever there was an opportunity to do something in community, I always wanted to be part of that. And so slow but sure, just with, I guess, experience and my heart is just sold out to being hands and feet of Jesus. Quite frankly, my pastors just have never had a choice with me. It's literally like, here I am, please let me be involved. And so, that's how it's been for 20-something years right now. So
what sort of things have you been involved with? What have you been getting your hands dirty with in terms of community work?
Food relief, community welfare has been a huge part of my time when it comes to social justice. We know that this last season with COVID's been an incredible time for us as a church and, churches across the globe, I guess, when it comes to addressing the immediate needs. So, that's really been a big one for me. I have a huge heart, knowing what I've walked through, that I could be a blessing in the women and children space as well. So those two areas, a major part of my life. For the last 20 years.
All right. And just tell us, Nick, a little bit about yourself, because as I mentioned, you've been the church side of leading our youth community, and then you've only recently really stepped into this space, but it's been second nature to you. Why do you think all of that has worked so well?
Yeah, definitely. I've had the honor of youth pastoring for a number of years now at our Brisbane location, and I absolutely love doing that. And just this year transitioned into a new role where I'm working alongside youth within the CityCare area, CityCare department. And I think for me, it's more or less two and two are the same, because what we get to be a part of is very much similar to what Jen's actually touching on, and just being the hands and feet out in the community. And I think glorious, people are crazy, people are incredible all at the same time. And so what we get to do is just interact, come alongside people, and do our best to just help people where the need is. And as a youth pastor, as a youth community worker, I've very much seen both overlap over the year.
Yeah. So in that youth space, Nick, specifically, there's two programs that are actually known, probably you would have to say globally, not even just nationally across Australia now. That's Shine and Strength. For those people that aren't too conversant with that, just explain what those programs are and how they operate.
Definitely. Two of our most prominent programs, Shine and Strength, essentially the resilience-based programs for young people. Shine is for our women and Strength is for our young men in high schools. And the whole course is around 8 to 10 weeks. It's tailored around one term, where we take a cohort of young people through a term of content that's based around resilience and helping them build resilience within their identity, within their values, within their significance, their purpose, and who they are as a young person, and teaching them life coaching type skills to enable them to succeed in all their different areas of life.
That's brilliant. I've actually got a story here which comes from somebody at McGregor School. Now, McGregor School in Brisbane is where my daughter went to school, actually. And they're talking here about this, great achievement of running the program there. A psychologist that was working with one of the young girls in Shine emailed the school raving about what she was talking to him about in the session the week before. This led to the school emailing us to talk about whether we can offer a youth coach in the coming months or early in the next year. This was our first session, first week in the school, and also immediately show some amazing results. So you're probably involved in that at some level. So how is that kind of normal, that you get such good feedback from parents, from people, not just the kids themselves?
Yeah. I think every school and every cohort of young people are very different and very unique. And as we do like 4 different sessions throughout the year in each school, it always changes, but we were very blessed and very stoked to get this feedback from McGregor, being such a local school to our campus and being the very first week that we've ever partnered alongside that school. And I think the biggest blessing is actually seeing the potential in this young girl and seeing the potential in this young lady come into a Shine classroom where she's going, what am I doing here? Why have I been chosen for this course? Why is this in place of a different class or a different, course that she could be doing? And going from that 40-minute lesson or 60 minutes, and by the end of it, thinking, man, I can't wait to share this with my psychologist. I can't wait to actually see this course in the term and see what I can do for one person. Yeah,
it's wonderful. So how many schools have we been able to operate Shine and Strength in, let's say, the last year or two, just more or less?
Yeah, across Queensland, we're currently running it in 3 different high schools. We've done it probably in 4 to 8 different high schools over a year or two. And we're very much in Upper Coomera, McGregor, and Marsden.
Yeah, because that represents hundreds of kids, of course, so that's fantastic. Going back to you, Jen, what sort of programs have you been involved with in this last season that you can share with people listening in?
I've been working alongside Nick and the team in the youth space in the last season. Food relief, especially emergency food relief during COVID, has been a major part of our endeavours down here on the Gold Coast. And one of the most wonderful things that's taken place is a new partnership for us with the Gold Coast Convention Centre. And during a period of time when they needed to find some work for their chefs, they contacted us and asked us if we might have access to community that might need some helping hand with some meals. And just to say, 5 months later, we personally have distributed. Now, I'm not good with my facts. I think Nick would be more. I think we've distributed close to 5,000 or supplied near 5,000 meals across southern Queensland with that. So really proud of us for what we've been able to do. But again, power of partnership is everything. And like no other time during COVID, we've really experienced some pretty special community partnerships with places like Convention Centre, Food Bank, Oz Harvest and the like when it comes to, food rescue and food relief. So, pretty cool.
It's very cool. Just in that COVID response, you might even not know this, but as you just said, would that be right? About 5,000 meals, Nick? It was somewhere around about that, just under that. I was told literally yesterday, we've got the report for Australia, that Hillsong Church Australia, over these last few weeks of the pandemic season, have put out 221,940 meals of some description or other, which is absolutely unbelievable. And these are the sort of things that not everybody knows about Hillsong Church. Even within Hillsong Church, and even in this pandemic season, it's pretty hard to communicate to everybody when we're not meeting with them on a Sunday to let them know. So I think that's fantastic. So well done, Jen. Now, you talked about partnership there. That's interesting. Because if I may say so, Jen Maroney, you are known as being someone who excels in that space. You managed to have this ability to generate partnerships and mutual help between our church, CityCare, and other entities. I mean, you've worked with, for goodness sake, theme parks and all sorts of different relationships that you've built. Is that something that comes natural to you? Like, how do you get to know these people and end up working together and helping one another?
You know what, Steve, honestly, there's no strategy within me about it, but what I've learned through my relationship with God, to be honest, is the power of generosity. And I find that when I lead the way in generosity and no strings attached giving, others respond and people want to jump on board with that. And we've just found ourselves streaming into relationships over the years simply because we've led the way with generosity. And rarely do we say, no, it's not part of our vocabulary. We've always been a church, a CityCare of solution, and I think others love to be part of that as well. And so it's just a very organic thing that takes place, and people talk, and fortunately most of the time it's a positive talk that's led us into these incredible relationships, no doubt.
It's well done. I think it's fantastic. You mentioned also just a moment ago about the food. That's why we got onto that subject.
Yeah.
We have a storehouse on the Gold Coast, as indeed we do in Melbourne, and looking to open more, which is more of a point of sale at the cheapest possible levels, food for families that are in vulnerable situations. And likewise, I don't want to bore everyone with the numbers, but we're talking about tens of thousands of people across Australia, and certainly here in Queensland, that gets help that way. I got a beautiful story of an 80-year-old lady who goes every single week, and her son explained, her son must be in his 60s, presumably, or very close to, and he was saying to the people working there, this is the highlight of her week. Because not only does somebody care enough to be able to, less than half, maybe a third of what she would normally have to spend to be able to pay for her own food stuff, but she's looked after, she's cared for, people smile, get to know her. And I'm just kind of proud of all the various things that we do, because they're done by real people. These aren't projects, these are our people, usually volunteers, very few staff. But I think it's wonderful, and you guys giving leadership to those teams is a great thing. So in terms of passion, Nick, what do you reckon the future can look like? What could we do in Queensland if we can mobilise more and more people to get out there into the community?
That's a great question, Steve. And just on that, we've just want a quick shout out to over 50 volunteers across Queensland that have helped CityCare over this last period during this COVID-19 season. As we talked about before, the food relief, the food response. So over 50 volunteers in their own capacity have helped us be able to distribute thousands of meals to people. So they're definitely worthy of recognition and that shout out there. But moving forward, just as a community organization looking to help people and partner with other people, there's a few different programs that we're a part of. And I think one of them is actually a transition from Strength and Shine that we're doing in local high schools, and then doing that one-on-one coaching, youth mentoring that McGregor that we talked about earlier is actually looking for this young lady. And that youth mentoring program is something where we partner a trained volunteer alongside a young person in our local high schools, and they get 6 to 12 months of coaching from volunteer just to get life experience, life skill, and just help a young person when it comes to their everyday, day-to-day life.
I love that.
Yeah.
You'll have heard me say this over the years, because I've got this phrase that I've stuck by over the years, and there's the proof of what you're doing, that we haven't helped somebody really until we've helped them to help themselves. And if you don't go with that premise, we can do relief aid, we can help a few people, feed people and all the rest of it. But to find ways of helping people look after themselves and make right life decisions and right life choices, I love those kind of areas that we get involved with as well. That's fantastic. And Jen, to finish for you, because time's virtually going, what's the passion in you? What would you love to see happening that the church is represented in the community in the days ahead?
Well, I guess I'm very excited about what's going to happen on the Gold Coast in the weeks to come, and that's a new campus. And with that and the facilities that has to offer, that we're really looking at catering for community. So into that women and children space and families where we can have play groups, especially play groups that are inclusive of those families with children with special needs. They're looking at walking into foster care. Now, that's standing with foster carers, and that's a really exciting new thing that CityCare is embarking on in the months to come. And so from Gold Coast perspective, that's where we're going to be heading.
Wonderful. Well, listen, for everybody listening, we just need you to know that if you're part of Hillsong Church, be proud of being part of a church that gets out, gets beyond the walls, And don't forget, right now in this COVID season, we can't even meet within the walls and do church services. We just got to be the church. And I love the fact that CityCare, Hillsong CityCare, and the work we do, it's not some secular organization on the side. It is just comes out of the very heart of who we are as church and as Christians. And, you've listened to what Nick and Jen have said, some of the programs that we're doing, some of the programs that we're going to be stepping into. And just to give you an idea, just in these last few weeks, with a sort of church that has made 205,000, nearly 206,000 calls. That's not only to our own people, but that's to people to check on them and see how we can help them across our communities. We've set up a program whereby within our pastoral care of church, we've recorded 2,072 people have lost their jobs in these last few weeks, but are connected together. We've got all sorts of programs to support them, help them, retrain them, teach them how to do job interviews, change of careers. People who are professionals in that space have volunteered in our church as well. I think that's been a great thing. We've been supporting the medical professionals during this COVID season, all sorts of groups and supports going on, and we could just go on and on and on. But I'm just glad that we're part of a church that gets out there, makes a difference. I'm proud of people like Nick Windlaw, proud of people like Jen Maroney, who can be the hands and the feet of the Lord in our cities, in our communities, doing a great job. If you can be of any support or any help, get on the websites, check out what we're doing, contact the guys from CityCare. Maybe there's something that you can do that can make a difference in people's lives. And together, let's make the best difference that we possibly can be in this season. This is a season for the church to be the church and to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We can do this well. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Jen, for all your contributions and all you're doing. Everybody take care. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.